Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
The big stories tonight. Another U.S. missile system is set to be deployed in the Philippines for this year's Balikatan exercises. This announcement came as U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is currently in Manila, the first stop of his first Asian trip since taking office. Beijing's reaction to Hegseth's visit? A stern warning against outsiders meddling in the South China Sea dispute.
And twin quakes rock Myanmar with tremors felt as far as Bangkok, Thailand. Scores have been injured while there are those that have been reported trapped in toppled infrastructure in both countries.
And Alex Ayala's dream run at the Miami Open may have ended, but what a run it was. And despite bowing out in the semifinals, Alex has earned praise and admiration from Pinoys and tennis fans around the world.
Today marks the start of the campaign period for local positions. We'll get to that later, but first, over in Davao City, programs and road closures mark the birthday of former President Rodrigo Duterte. We have Bril Montalvo with us for updates. Bril, kamusta ang sitwasyon dyan at sino-sino ba ang mga opisyal at personalities ang dumalo?
Ladies, nandito pa rin tayo ngayon sa Rojas Avenue dito na sa Davao City kung saan nagpapatuloy ang Global Filipino Solidarity Program para sa pagdiriwang sa kaarawan ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Alam niyo, sa mga oras na ito ay dagsa pa rin ang taga-suporta ng dating Pangulo dito mismo sa event area. At kanina nga lang ay kakatapos lang ng speech ni Senator Bato de la Rosa doon sa entablado. At sinare niya yung mga ganap nila before during his PNP time and also sa panahon din ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa kanyang administrasyon. At sinabi din niya na hiling niya na makawit na sa lalong madaling panahon ito nga si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. At sa ngayon ay inaantabayanan pa rin natin kung lalahok ba o darating ba dito sa pagtitipon ang aming Davao City Mayor na si Sebastian Duterte. Ladies?
Okay. Hi, Bril. Si Sean to. Bril, so tama ba yung narinig ko na in-expect palang dumating si Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte? But more than that, no, I was wondering kung ano yung major overriding message itong rally na ito, nitong gathering na ito. Is it really just come back home or meron bang mas malalim na mensahe dyan?
Alam mo, Sean, tama ka nga dyan, no? Wala pa tayong informasyon at inaasahan pa rin natin hanggang ngayon. Ito nga si Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte kung dadalo ba siya dito sa pagtitipon. At itong solidarity program dito nga sa Davao City ay in connection ito sa pagdiriwang sa ika-80 kaarawan ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na inorganisa ng hugpong sa taong lungsod. Itong hugpong sa taong lungsod, ito nga yung local party ng mga pamilya Duterte dito nga sa Davao City.
At Bril, of course, today na rin ang simula ng local campaign para sa midterm elections. At alam naman natin ito nga si former President Rodrigo Duterte ay tumatakbo bilang mayor ngayon ng Davao City. So meron ba nga nangangampanya on his behalf dyan sa Davao? At tuloy pa rin ba ang kanyang kandidatura sa pagka-mayor ng Davao?
Tama ka nga dyan, no? Alam nyo, sabi ng COMELEC na kahit pa man nasa ICC ngayon, nasa detention facility sa the Netherlands, si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, but still he is a candidate pa rin dito nga sa Davao City for mayor. So ngayon sa unang araw ng local campaign ay ito ngang mga kapartido ng dating Pangulo ay wala muna silang activity, campaign rally ngayong araw kasi nga nakafocus sila dito sa pagdiriwang sa kaarawan ni dating dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. At sa kabilang kampo naman, sa katunggali ni Davao or ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte for mayor na si Carlo Nograles ay nag-umpisa ang kanilang pangangampanya. Kanina kasama ang kanyang kapatid na si Congresswoman Migs Nograles na tumatakbo ngayong First District Congressman ng lungsod. At katunggali naman ni Congresswoman Migs Nograles itong ang si incumbent Davao City First District Congressman na Pulong Duterte. So kanina nag-house to house at nag-handshaking campaign nga ang Nograles team sa unang araw ng local campaign period sa 2025 midterm election.
Wala namang aberya, Bril, na nangyari sa magkatunggaling kampo. Wala namang iringan.
Alam mo, sa eleksyon ngayon dito sa Davao City, wala namang iringan dito. Smooth ang campaign dito, nangangampanya sa kabilang grupo ang mga Nograles at sa Team Duterte naman ay nangangampanya din sila dito nga sa Solidarity at katatapos lang ng kanilang appearance na dito sa entablado ng hugpong sa taong lungsod. So hindi man nila hayagang sinabi na kung parte ba itong Solidarity program sa kanilang pangangampanya, pero ang sabi nila, ang sabi ng mga organizer, plainly for the celebration sa 80th birthday ng dating Pangulo.
Maraming...
Ay, sige.
Meron
Last
ka pa?
question. Yes,
Okay.
nagtataka lang ako, no, Bril, since ngayon lang kita ulit nakausap since the arrest. Paano nagbago no yung landscape? At today nga is the launch of the local campaign series. Nagbago ba yung sentimento dyan sa Davao City after the arrest of President Duterte?
Alam mo, Sean, no, medyo maingay dito sa aking background. Pwede ba kiulit po yung tanong?
Okay, may nagbago ba sa sentimento ng mga botante dyan sa Davao City pagkatapos maaresto ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte?
Alam mo, wala talagang pagbabago dito sa Davao City simula nang naaresto ito nga si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Ang kanyang mga taga-suporta ng mga Duterte ay nananatili pa rin mga supporters ng mga Duterte. Kahit pa man na ginigipit ng administrasyon ito nga pamilya Duterte. Yun yung sabi ng mga supporters nila na nandito kanina nung nakausap natin.
Okay, maraming salamat sa iyo. Bril Montalvo reporting to us live from Davao City.
All right, we're going to pause for a quick break, but coming up next, we'll get live updates from Thailand and Myanmar, which were hit today by 2 earthquakes. The strongest one was a 7.7 magnitude. We've got more details on that when we return. Keep it here on One News.
So now we head to the Netherlands, where detained former President Rodrigo Duterte is celebrating his 80th birthday. Supporters of the former president are currently assembling in The Hague in front of the penitentiary where he is staying.
But his family, who has been there since the other day, continue to have a hard time gaining access to the former president.
Let's get some more updates from Jovi Francisco, who is still in the Netherlands, still in front of The Hague. Hi, Jovi. Has any member of the family finally successfully succeeded in getting permission to go inside and visit former President Duterte?
Ladies, before the update on whoever was given permission to go inside the penitentiary, let's just report that the vice president just finished her speech for the supporters here in front of the penitentiary where the picnic is ongoing. So ipapakita ko lang sa inyo yung mga ibang images dito habang katatapos nga lang nitong speech ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Itong gathering na ito started around 10 a.m. Kayo ng umaga, Hague time sa Netherlands. At itong last until 3 p.m. At sa of rain, pero hindi pa naman umuulan sa ngayon. So sa ngayon ay kinakawayan nila si Vice President Sara Duterte, which is andun sa stage, nagpipicture sila as a group. Katapos ng speech niya, kasama niya si former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque at si Senator Robin Hood Padilla. Plus of course, itong mga supporters kaya nagdala ng sarili ng mga pagkain at parang picnic talaga yung atmosphere. At sila ay kumakanta ng happy birthday kanina. Okay, pagdating doon sa mga naging mensahe ni Vice President Sara Duterte, nakausap niya ang kanyang ama about 2 days ago daw. At ang bilin niya sa kanya ay sabihin na magpasalamat sa mga supporters na nandito sila for the birthday. At ang unang bilin, maraming bilin pero isa sa mga bilin ay huwag makialam, lalo na sa social media, ang mga supporters pagdating doon sa itinatakbo ng kaso dito sa The Hague. O yung mga legalities ay huwag nang patulan ng mga supporters. At siyempre, meron pa ibang mga bilan. Pagdating sa mga pamilya na sinasabi na baka pwede pumasok, talagang ngayon ang nakaschedule for today ay si Hanilet, Avancenia at saka si Kitty Duterte. Pero no sighting of them yet. So hinihintay natin kung sila ngayon nakapasok sa loob at kung sila nagkaroon ng pagkakataon makausap ang dating Pangulo. Ladies.
Nung sinabi ni VP Sara yon na wag nang makialam sa legalities, ano bang tutukoy niya? Kasi kine-question kung legal yung pagkaka-aresto, di ba? At sabi nila dapat siyang ibalik. So ano kaya yung ibig niyan sabihin?
Says, I think it's more of yung dahil alam natin nagkakaroon ng bashing ang mga supporters. So nagbabash sila doon sa mga sa mga opisyal ng ICC pati sa kung paano ginagawa yung proceedings. I think doon pinapatigil at wag man daw masyado nang makialam doon sa ganung mga bagay.
So yung mismong ICC, wag nilang
Yes.
itotroll, yun ang okay. Sige.
So Jovi, may idea ba tayo kung anong oras in Netherlands time yung scheduled visit ng family, in this case, Hanilet and Kitty Duterte?
Okay. Walang schedule, although nandito na kami since the start ng visitation visitation hours, kayo ng 10 o'clock, ay wala pang pumapasok na kaanak dito sa loob ng penitentiary. Pwede ito hanggang hapon, hanggang 5 p.m. So we're waiting kung papasok dito sa loob. Pero based na sa speech nga ng Vice Presidente kanina, sinasabi niya na nagawa na ng paraan ng lawyer, nakausap na ng lawyer, so merong possibility na talaga na pwede lang pumasok si Kitty at ang kanyang mother dito. So we're just waiting for yung actual appearance nila dito. Son.
And Jovi, ano pa ba yung ibang activities para sa kaarawan, sa birthday ni former President Rodrigo Duterte? And I'm curious, meron bang special privileges dyan sa ICC Detention Center kung birthday mo?
Nothing like that mas na privilege na pwedeng sabihin na pinapayagan. Dito lang talaga sa labas. Pero pinaalala ni Vice President Sara Duterte kanina ang isa pang privilege, pero hindi pa daw ginagamit ng Pangulo, ng dating Pangulo, ay yung privilege siya ay lumabas ng kwarto niya at maglakad-lakad dun sa kanilang parang mini park sa loob ng penitentiary. So, yun daw hindi pa ginagamit. So, surprisingly, hindi pa naglalakad-lakad doon ang dating Pangulo. Pero sinabihan daw sa Vice President Sara Duterte na gamitin niya because that's needed, parang sunlight, of course, at saka yung walking, a little walking.
Jovi, ang nakikita natin dyan, di naman mukhang picnic, para na ring rally in a way, ano? So wala namang, hindi naman sila sinisita.
Okay, ang paalala sa kanila, may mga rules no, lalo na sa cleanliness no kapag like cleanliness, orderliness ano. Pero doon sa speeches, mukhang merong paalala sa kanila because when Senator Robin Hood Padilla and Harry Roque went on stage to do their para mga statement, ay inamin nila na dapat subdued lang at hindi masyadong galit ang kanilang mga sasabihin. Yun yung tono nila dapat, ay hindi dapat celebratory instead of parang rallying call kasi pupunahin daw yun ng authorities at baka sila ma-disperse.
Oo nga. Okay.
Pero Jovi, may actual picnic ba na nagaganap? And on the other
Yes.
side,
Oo nga.
Yes.
Namang
Kakain na
meron.
natin.
Mga banig
Dito
o kaya
so dito lang sa likod ko ay kitang-kita ko
Standing
na meron
picnic.
talagang picnic. There's I hope nakikita niyo.
ayun.
Okay,
Baka
meron.
talagang
Ayun.
nasa mga
Oo nga.
nakaupo sila sa mga cloth.
Oo.
Kasi kanya-kanya naman.
Tapos ay may mga pagkain talaga, mga nakabalot na ka-Tupperware, mga Sharon. May mga lalagyan. So yan. May mga kuha ko kanina, hindi ko alam kung maroroll yun. Pero yun, meron talaga picnic style ng mga bandang 12 o'clock that we're eating here.
Jovi, question, any idea kung ano yung head count ng mga supporters na dumalo dyan sa Hague for the former president's birthday? Or kung wala mang official head count, mukha bang mas madaming tao today since ngayon yung actual birthday niya compared to the past week? Yeah.
This is a smaller place, Sean. Talagang siguro wala pang 1/4 nung park nung Sunday. So mas maliit ito, lalo na it's a working day. Hindi pa sa weekend, so mas konti ito. Pero marami-rami na rin to. Kumpara sa mga daily na mga 30 to 50 na nandito, mas marami to.
May dumaan na naka-party hat sa likod ni Jovi. So, mukha na sa
Very nice naman.
Yes.
Festive naman.
Tsaka may
Kasi
hawak.
napansin ko, ladies, napansin ko, maski yung mga placard nila, imbis na yung usual na parang sa rally na, yung parang rally placards na parang yung kulay na itim lang at sa beige, ngayon may mga buntings, may mga
So I guess they're
stripes na mga
more-
makulay, mga
they're-
ganyan.
They're in a more festive mood, ano? But Jovi, on the other
Yes,
side,
yes,
kamusta
yes.
naman yung mga pro-human rights groups? Natuloy ba yung kanilang plano na mag-gather rin today sa kaarawan nga ni former President Duterte?
They will gather after this kasi 3 p.m. ang end dito, yung permit dito sa likod ko. No? After that, merong sariling gathering somewhere else. Yung anti-Duterte forces or anti-Duterte groups, that's around 3 to 3:30 dito rin sa The Hague. And we'll give you updates on that later dahil alam natin na meron din silang surprise na gagawin doon. Ang alam natin ay may mga witness na pupunta doon, hindi lang pwede kunin ng litrato.
All right, we will await that update. Thank you so much, Jovi Francisco, reporting to us live from the Netherlands. Campaign jingles and motorcades filled the streets of Metro Manila as the 45-day campaign period for local candidates kicked off today. Candidates can campaign until May 10, except on April 17 and 18 for Holy Week. Here's a report from Camille Samonte.
Some residents in Manila carried their own placards to welcome the candidates in the city. Candidates across Metro Manila went around almost simultaneously to woo voters. Re-electionist Manila Mayor Honey Lacuna and Vice Mayor Yul Servo attended a mass before officially starting their campaign. Afterwards, they conducted a house-to-house campaign around Sampaloc. Lacuna says her administration achieved significant progress without falling into debt. Meanwhile, her strongest rival and former ally, Isko Moreno, kicked off his campaign in Road 10 Tondo together with his running mate Chia Tienza and their slate. Moreno says he is ready to return and serve Manila again. He vowed to restore the city's cleanliness and security just as it was during his term as mayor.
Ang worry ng taong bayan ngayon, yung nangadugyot ulit ang Maynila. In fact, makikita nyo mamaya, nadaanan ko na naman, no? Every mo, mag-alas 9 na ng umaga, ang basura nasa kalsada pa. talagang kino-complain yun ng mga taga Maynila.
Meanwhile, Atienza, a newcomer in politics, vowed to focus on livelihood and employment opportunities. She also pledged to continue the public service legacy of her father, former Manila Mayor Lito Atienza.
Given that I am the youngest daughter of former Mayor Lito Atienza, I've been trained to continue the legacy that he has built here in Manila. Ang expertise natin is livelihood and employment. And for 40 years, kahit wala pa akong naging posisyon, may resibo na ang kababaihan ng Maynila na tuloy-tuloy na sinusulong natin ang livelihood programs, livelihood training para sa mga Manilenyo.
Moreno says he and his slate will avoid engaging in negative attacks against rivals now that the campaign is in full swing.
Don't engage in mudslinging and all other unnecessary things that may hurt o makasakit ng damdamin ng kapwa o ng kalaban. So you're going to expect from us na we will not venture into that mode of campaigning.
Another mayoral aspirant, Sam Versosa, also held a motorcade in the district of Santa Cruz. He promised to bring change to Manila's leadership should he be elected.
Kasi ilang beses silang sumubok ng mga mayor na yan eh. Ilang beses silang nangako, pero lahat napako. Sinubukan na nila sila eh. Walang nagbago. Ang nangyari, mas lalong naghirap, mas lalong nabaon sa utang, at mas lalong naging kawawa mga Manileño.
In Pasig City, re-electionist Mayor Vico Soto and Vice Mayor Dodot Jaworski launched their proclamation rally at the public mega market. Soto's father, Bossing Vic Soto, personally introduced him to the crowd.
Gusto ko po kayong i-congratulate dahil dito sa lungsod ng Pasig, sa ating minamahal na lungsod, napatunayan natin sa buong bansa na kaya nating labanan at supuin ang korupsyon. Ito na po, ang susunod na presidente ng Pilipinas. Mayor Vico Soto.
Soto is currently 35 years old, which means he still needs 5 years before reaching the minimum age requirement to run for presidency. In his speech, Soto emphasized his administration's efforts in good governance, anti-corruption, reforms, and citywide improvements. Meanwhile, his rival Sara Diskaya postponed her kickoff rally due to issues on the venue. As candidates kicked off their campaign today, the COMELEC was also busy keeping election rules followed. Oplan Baklas was again conducted today, removing campaign paraphernalia placed outside designated poster areas. Posters that went over the legal 2 by 3 feet size were also removed. Starting tomorrow, the COMELEC will be issuing notices to candidates found to be violating campaign rules.
Huwag niyong iboboto yung mga pasaway, yung mga hindi sumusunod sa patakaran. Alam naman bawal, doon pa rin naglalagay. Sapagkat isa lang ang ibig sabihin, patigasan ng ulo, tinetest yung kapangyarihan ng Commission on Elections at iba pang mga ahensya na kapartner po nito.
For News 5, Camille Samonte, we are One News.
At this hour, Manila mayoral bets, Honey Lacuna and Isko Moreno are holding their proclamation rallies, simultaneously drawing crowds of supporters awaiting their platforms.
All right, let's move on to our other big story for tonight. Now, just a few hours ago, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck Myanmar and some parts of Thailand. The tremor left several dead, brought down a high-rise under construction in Bangkok, and destroyed buildings, bridges, and a mosque in Myanmar. Myanmar's military has declared a state of emergency in multiple regions. The United States Geological Survey, or USGS, said the epicenter was 17 kilometers from Mandalay, Myanmar's second-largest city. The earthquake hit at lunchtime at a depth of only 10 kilometers, followed by a strong aftershock. Rescue efforts continue as officials assess the damage. Let's get some updates from Thailand after that big earthquake. Joining us live via Zoom is Lou Sison, our kababayan in Thailand. Hi, Lou.
Hi, good evening.
Lou, first of all, how are you? Tell us where you were, what you were doing, and what you saw when the quake struck.
Okay, I was inside my bathroom. I was taking a shower, and that was like 1:25 p.m. And it started shaking. There was no acceleration of the earthquake. It was like really like huge earthquake. And then I panicked, and then I called my friend at 1:26. When I checked the time, it was 1:26. And then yun, sinabi ko na parang, ay, lumilindol wa. So I didn't know what to do because I'm here alone, and so yun lang. Parang gusto ko lang malaman ng friend ko na parang alam niya na kung saan ako pupulutin just in case. And yun, mahaba yung earthquake. It took 10 minutes for the call. So maybe less than 10 minutes yung tawag, mga 7 or 8 minutes yung earthquake. Tsaka tuloy-tuloy siya eh. Hindi siya humihina. Parang swaying yung building. So nasa bahay ako. So ayun, yun yung naramdaman ko. Tsaka medyo nahihilo ako after.
Lou,
nakakahilo siya.
Matanong ko lang, what floor do you live? Do you live in a condominium building? Sa building ka ba na mataas ba siya? Anong floor ka nung nangyari?
Yun nga, 6th floor. 6th floor siya. Tapos yun na swaying. And then I have a friend who's living on the 21st floor. So mas grabe yung nararamdaman niya. Ako, grabe na yung nararamdaman ko. And I even messaged my agency. They're staying on the ground floor. And then they felt it. Tsaka nahilo sila. And some of my friends, they're still feeling dizzy kahit umabot na ng mga 3 o'clock. Medyo wala na yung earthquake noon, pero nahihilo pa rin sila. Yun yung na-feel ko dito sa klase ng earthquake na nandito sa Thailand. Usually kasi sa atin parang malakas, tas hina, tas medyo okay ka na. Dito, yung naramdaman ko, hilo talaga siya. Na nakakapanginig kasi bihirang magkaroon ng earthquake dito sa Thailand. Ang layo ng volcano eh. Unlike sa atin na maraming volcanoes.
Pero Lou, may nabalitaan ka pa bang ibang kababayan natin na naapektuhan ng earthquake? Because we are seeing videos no, ng ilang mga building na nag-collapse talaga. Meron bang mga Pilipino na naapektuhan nun?
For now, wala pa ako nababalitaan. But lahat shock. Lahat hilo. Shinare kong videos taken by my Thai friend na binigay rin sa kanya. So yun, may mga hotels na nandun yung pool sa top floor na medyo natatapon yung water. So yan yun.
Yes,
medyo scary kasi sa ano na yan eh, parang medyo sukumbit area na yan. So, hindi pa ako lumalabas kasi takot ako. Pero nagpanic lahat kasi ng mga tao dito. Parang they went out, lumabas sila, bumaba sila. Medyo stunned ako. So I was just like on the call with my friend. So parang anong gagawin ko?
You didn't have to evacuate, Lou? Hindi ba mandatory yung evacuation dyan? Ano ba yung mga protocol dyan? Siyempre sa atin, sanay tayo dun sa SOP natin dito sa Pilipinas. Ganun din ba sa Thailand? Tulad ng sinabi mo, mas less frequent ang mga lindol dyan?
Yes, mandatory naman kasi halos nakita ko naman from my balcony na parang lahat sila nagbabaan. Ako lang yung natakot. Kasi galing kasi akong banyo, so parang ako medyo stunned na parang hindi ko alam anong gagawin ko. So tinawagan ko na lang yung friend ko for emotional support. Kasi hanggang ngayon parang alam mo yun, medyo nakakatakot siya kasi I've been living here for more than a year and I never experienced earthquake. Same back in 2016 to 2017, I was also living here for 9 months. I never experienced earthquake. So it's something really different. Kaya yun yung nakaka-panic for me. Unlike sa atin, na normal.
Lou, have most of the residents in Bangkok returned to their homes? Because there were several images we saw of people out in the streets.
Yeah, that's right. And then there are some gyms or yung mga, basta naka-receive rin ako ng mga messages na they're closed for now. So, ayun.
Pero Lou,
this is really rare.
Yeah.
Lu, kamusta ba ang sitwasyon dyan ngayon? May shortage ba sa kuryente, sa tubig? Because the Prime Minister of Thailand did declare already a state of emergency in Bangkok.
Today, okay naman yung kuryente ko. So, okay pa naman. Water ko, okay. I checked my AC after the earthquake. Hindi naman siya hindi naman siya nag-explode. So, okay naman siya.
Okay, so hindi kayo nawalan ng kuryente at ng tubig at ng cellphone signal, I'm guessing, kasi habang lumilindol, nasa phone ka.
Oo, okay naman siya.
And your building, curious lang din ako sa building admin ninyo, tumawag ba sila? Did the engineering department do spot checks? Kasi medyo malakas,
Oh, malakas talaga siya. Malakas talaga siya. Tsaka hindi siya yung talaga na parang mahina. Kasi nahilo talaga ako sa banyo. Narinig ko na lang yung mga kapitbahay kong Thais. They're like screaming. So, doon ako nagkaroon ng idea na parang okay, baba na talaga. Baba na lahat. Tapos, nung nag-check na ako sa balcony, ang dami ng tao rin sa baba. Ako lang hindi lumabas kasi takot ako lumabas. Yun lang. Pero mandatory rin talaga lumabas. For sure, yung mga offices and Sukhumvit area, nandyan, yung nasa videos ngayon, ayan, lumabas din sila.
Lu, may idea ka nasan yung building na gumuho, yung under construction na apartment? Nasa may Sukhumvit area ba yon? Or is it a bit more sa outskirts? Kasi parang...
I have to check kasi medyo shocked pa rin ako kung sa nangyari. Kasi talagang mga ilang hours pa rin ako nahihilo. So, check ko rin. Pero ito, Sukhumvit area to. So,
And Lu, yung mga building ba dyan sa Sukhumvit and just in Bangkok in general, marami ba talagang mga high-rise buildings dyan? At kamusta ba yung integrity nila? Mga bagong building ba to? So are they, kumbaga, earthquake-proof naman?
Mukha namang earthquake-proof. Kasi itong building ko saan ako nakatira, since 1999, so mukhang okay pa naman. Okay pa naman siya. So, ayun. Hindi ko pa na-check kung ano yung gumuhong building. Hindi pa rin din ako lumalabas. Medyo pa rin ako, takot.
Okay. So right now, Lu, it's the aftermath, no? And I'm sure people are still shocked. Have you been tuning into the news? Ano yung umiikot dyan na balita, na advice, maybe from the government?
Well, I haven't checked. Kasi after the earthquake, I have to shoot. Meron akong work. So, hindi ko pa parang after siguro ng news na to, tsaka lang ako makapag-check ng news. Pero, ayun. For now,
So nag-shoot ka pa rin? Natuloy yung trabaho ninyo? Kahit na nag-earthquake na?
Medyo. The show must go on.
Alright, Lu, na lang baka may message ka to your family here in the Philippines and kung mga kababayan natin dyan kailangan ng tulong, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Kuya! Okay lang ako. Just sa tito ko. Anyway, for now, okay pa naman kami. I will check some of my friends din kung okay sila. But yung group din namin, nagsama-sama na sila ngayon. And for support, kasi lahat talaga nagpapanik. But yun, I'm okay for now.
Okay, physically okay, pero
Thank you so much.
maraming kailangan i-process mentally, no? That's certainly not a
Shock
small
talaga.
thing.
Kasi ilang hours, even some of my friends are still feeling dizzy. Kahit mga 3 o'clock, 3:30, nahihilo pa rin sila. Iba yung sway ng building, matagal siya eh. Na parang talagang may effect kahit tapos na, nakakahilo siya.
Okay, maraming salamat, Lou. We'll let you rest and compose yourself and check up on the news. Thank you very much for your time and for sharing your story with us. Lou Sison, our kababayan, fellow Filipino in Thailand. And we're gonna pause for another quick break as well. But when we return, aside from another missile system, what did the Philippines gain from the visit of U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth? We'll parse through the list of agreements when we return. Keep it here.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us here on The Big Story. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth made his first visit to the Philippines, meeting with President Bongbong Marcos at Malacanang earlier today. During the courtesy call, Marcos said that Hegseth's visit sends a strong message of the two nations' commitment to work together and maintain peace in the Indo-Pacific region. Meanwhile, Hegseth reaffirmed the United States' ironclad commitment to the Mutual Defense Treaty and vowed support for the Philippines' stand in the West Philippine Sea amid tensions with China.
I had a chance to speak just a few minutes ago to our president, President Trump. Thinks very fondly of this great country. He and I both want to express the ironclad commitment we have to the Mutual Defense Treaty and to the partnership. Economically, militarily, friends need to stand shoulder to shoulder to deter conflict. Whether you call it the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea, we recognize that your country has stand very firm in that location and in defense of your nation.
So now let's try to understand more deeply the visit of U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's visit. We have geopolitical analyst Richard Haydarian with us tonight. Welcome to The Big Story. You are still at The Hague?
Actually, I'm now in Brussels. So I headed to Brussels right after The Hague para kausapin yung mga contacts natin at the European Parliament and the European Commission. Not to mention yung embahada natin. Shout out sa Philippine Embassy folks for accommodating us dahil ang konteksto ng discussion natin dito is where does our relationship with Europe go? Europe and ASEAN, Europe and Philippines go. Dahil dito sa Europe, nagpa-panic mode na sila. They're really worrying about the direction of the relationship with the United States. The same gentleman, Secretary Hegseth, was just here the other month and openly saying na, together with Vice President J.D. Vance, basically saying na tapos na yung era ng special relationship between Europe and the United States, and that the Europeans have to take care of their own needs. So
yes, but he
the question
showing
is it
the U.S. Defense Secretary saying ironclad ang commitment nila sa Pilipinas. Do you believe that, or sa tingin mo may ibang pakahulugan yun?
No, I mean, this term na ironclad has been used throughout the decades. No, Obama used that also back in 2014. I'm not very interested in the metaphor or the lexicon. Ang mahalaga sa akin is what Secretary Marco Rubio said earlier this year. I think number 3 tayo dun sa mga tinawag niya ng mga counterparts, si Secretary Manalo, where he said na yung ating Mutual Defense Treaty will apply to any attacks, no? Sa ating mga, whether sandataan lakas, sa ating mga public vessels, public aircrafts, and of course, yung ating mga sundalo dyan sa Ayungin Shoal. So as far as the U.S. is concerned, both the Trump 1 and Trump 2 administrations, consistent sila na yung Mutual Defense Treaty ay directly applicable dito sa West Philippine Sea dispute. So it's not just a tone, no? Operationally speaking, also we see the second Trump administration so far much more reassuring to us than they have been to the core Europeans here in Brussels.
Right.
What about the tone? I don't know if you caught, Richard, the joint press conference of the two Secretaries of Defense, our Gibo Teodoro, and the United States Hegseth. Medyo spicy kasi yung words ni Secretary Gibo. He kept calling Xi Jinping, Communist China, like that.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you make of it? Was there a subtle difference or imagination ko lang yun?
Baka pwede na mag-apply as Fox News anchor na rin si Gibo. I mean, I think he got the same kind of I won't say kutzpaki. He got the same kind of personality because as we know, of course, Pete Hegseth, you could see that the anchor in him still comes out, no, the way he talks about things. And then parang energy niya, no, yung Fox News anchor. Maybe infectious yung ganyan energy, positive energy, hyper energy ng mga Fox News anchor. But generally, I think I'd rather have our foreign secretary make definitive statements when it comes to how we want to approach China. I'm no fan of China. I was actually supposed to be China this week for a Boao Forum as a VIP, but I was advised probably better not to go for reasons that you can decipher yourself. So I'm glad to be here in Europe. I feel safe and good here. And of course, I covered also the ICC issue. Now, let me also add, speaking of ICC, it's quite interesting that just the other month, Trump administration sanctioned the International Criminal Court because of their disagreements on the warrant of arrest against their key allies, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. Matagal na may problema ang US with the ICC. Pero kung pansin nyo, quiet ang US dito sa warrant of arrest and the arrest eventually of President Duterte and bringing him here to Europe to face justice at The Hague. So that just tells you that at so many levels, my common understanding na tayo with the United States, even as the Trump administration tries to withdraw from a rules-based international order and its traditional alliances in other places like Europe.
But Richard, just going back to the visit of U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, how do you think China will respond to the growing cooperation between the United States and the Philippines?
Well, sa pagkaalam ko, si Marco Rubio is also heading to the Philippines soon. So we are very special, right? So Mike Waltz, their new national security advisor, met Secretary Guibo, I think 24 hours or 48 hours into his tenure earlier this year. As I said, number 3 or number 4 yata si Secretary Manalo sa mga tinawag ni Marco Rubio. And then now Pete Hegseth here, Marco Rubio also coming soon. So actually, medyo may pagka-first in line tayo. Medyo may strategic empathy. And let's be clear, the Americans have been pressuring the Europeans to spend 3, 4, 5% of their GDP on defense. They're saying the same on the Japanese. They're saying that Taiwan is 10%. But you never hear the Americans saying the Filipinos should spend X, Y, and Z on their defense. Because naintindihan nila yung sitwasyon natin, yung limitasyon natin, at na-appreciate nila na despite our limited capabilities, dun sa transparency initiative natin, dun sa AFP modernization natin, we are doing our part. So parang ang bait nila sa atin. I mean, so far. I mean, just the tenure, the cadence, sobrang mabait and understanding sila sa atin. So, I don't know. I won't be surprised more Filipinos would love Trump.
Yeah, kanina kasi, meron siyang sinabi no, si Hegseth, almost like binash niya si Biden na parang, nag-promise siya sa inyo, pero di naman niya binigay lahat ng money. Parang may ganun siyang sinabi. Nagulat ka ba doon, Richard? What did you make of that? Does that mean we can actually...
Yeah, I mean, bashing Biden is also what they did during that very notorious meeting with President Zelensky of Ukraine. No? Basically, ang position nila is yung mga katulad natin ng mga frontline allies sa Asia na napakamahalaga, pinabayaan tayo ng mga dating administration. I would say that applies more to Obama and the other Democratic administration, all the way to even Richard Nixon in the 1970s, the Republican president back then. But in fairness, Biden, Trump 1, Trump 2.0, consistent naman sila in terms of their operational support, in terms of the legal parameters of their support. So naintindihan ko, for their domestic audience, it's always nice to bash their rivals, the Democrats. But as far as we are concerned, I'm more than happy to see them consistent dun sa kanilang support sa atin. Speaking of which, $5.3 billion, I think, or $5.1 billion defense aid package will most likely push through under the Trump administration. This will be one of the biggest defense packages that the U.S. will give here sa ating rehiyon sa Asia. So that tells you how much the Americans value this relationship because they see our geography. We're next to Taiwan. We're fighting it in the West Philippine Sea, and we're embracing the Western Pacific.
This comes at a price, and it's also about time, nasa Europe ka, Richard, that we also, fund our own defense. I mean, kahit nakatiting, magpakita naman tayo na meron tayong sariling kakayahan, hindi ba?
Absolutely, absolutely. So basically, yung sinasabi ko dito is, we may not be in the same lake, we may not be in the same boat, but we're in the same lake. In a sense that yung mga Europeans, medyo mas malala yung problema nila with the US, almost ideological, no? Pagdating naman sa atin sa Pilipinas, I think we have a lot of common understanding. But at the end of the day, tama naman sinabi ni Ambassador Romualdez, maybe Trump 2.0 will not be that bad. But what's clear is that maraming mga isolationists in the US, including some officials like Andrew Byers, the one in charge sa Pentagon sa Southeast Asia and South Asia, who said na dapat at some point siguro China and China and US should cut a deal about the West Philippine Sea and withdrawing EDCA bases. So there are going to be isolationist voices in the US. Maybe now it's the Hegseth and Rubios and Waltz who are pro-Philippines or helping the Philippines will be having that influence. But we never know. We really never know. We never know under Trump 2.0. We never know what's going to happen in the future. Kaya mahalaga that we strengthen our relationship with Europe. We're negotiating a reciprocal access agreement with the French, similar to the one we have with the Japanese. Yung mga Espanyol, mga British, mga Aleman, all of them are offering all sorts of different defense deals with us. Gusto na tayo, biglang nasa good books na tayo dito sa Europe. I used to come here during Duterte's time, my goodness. Medyo stressful nung time na yan, discussing issues that, of course, you can imagine what we're discussing. But now I feel good as a Filipino talking to officials here in Europe. We are in the good books. They have a lot of respect for what we're doing, and they respect us as a middle power, as a rising dynamic economy. So a lot is also coming in our relationship with Europe, including a free trade agreement and hopefully lots of good investments.
But finally, Richard, and if you can give your answer in a short soundbite. You just came from The Hague. So anong assessment mo sa nangyayari sa ICC? VP Sara cautioned their followers not to harass the ICC.
Well, actually, bumisita ako dun sa detention center at nag-group hate kami ng mga followers ni President Duterte. Some of them, they were trying to taunt me. You can imagine what was the context. But hug ko silang lahat. There's a footage of that. But more importantly, I think dapat sober ang position ng mga Duterte side because base sa mga nakausap ko ng mga insiders, experts, among others, they believe that medyo game over na yan as far as the legal issue is concerned. Okay. The preponderance of evidence is very, very heavy. And in fact, may chismis pa nga, baka hindi daw tatagal yung kasalukuyan nilang abogado who actually has a record of abandoning or allegedly abandoning some of his clients in the past. Let's see what's gonna happen, but mukhang as far as Digong is concerned, there's a very high probability he'll be spending the rest of his years dyan sa Hague, which is not necessarily the worst place on earth. And he's gonna get due process, the same thing that was denied to victims of alleged extrajudicial killings.
Well, we thank you again for your insights, Richard Haydarian, now in Brussels. Thank you.
Right, now shifting gears to sports, Filipino tennis sensation Alex Ayala's magical run at the 2025 Miami Open has come to an end after falling to world number 4 Jessica Pegula in the semifinals. It was a 3-set thriller that saw Ayala fight through an ankle injury, but Pegula ended up taking the match with a decisive win in the final set. Now, Ayala's journey to the semis was nothing short of remarkable as she beat not 1, not 2, but 3 former Grand Slam champions, Yelena Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and Iga Swiatek. This marks the first time a Filipina has made it that far in a WTA 1000 event. Based on the live WTA rankings, Ayala is in the top 75 as a semi-finalist. She will be taking home a cash prize of more than $332,000 US, or more than 19 million pesos. So, congratulations, Alex Ayala.
Wow.
Honestly, I'm gonna be really candid na the other day ko lang nalaman yung rules ng tennis.
No, but that's the beauty of what she does, right?
Exactly.
Everybody now suddenly
I'm interested.
Yeah. She puts a spotlight in the sport. And ito for Alex, I mean, she's just getting started. She's just 19 years old and she still has a lot ahead
She lost,
of her.
but she stole the show, huh?
Of course.
Diba?
It's a great to cap off Women's Month for us here in the Philippines. And ito lang talaga, nakakatawa nakita ko sabi. Ay nako, salamat Alex Ayala. Yung match mo kasabay nung birthday ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. But also, March 20.
Nagnakaw rin siya ng eksena?
Oo, parang ganon. Yun yung implication. Tapos na lumindol pa.
Oo nga.
Ang dami nangyari. So, TGIF, that's it for the big story this week.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend. Good night.